Yes, various aspects of our symposium. Thank you very much, madam, for your kind cooperation. I take this opportunity to thank Symposium Partner, the Association for Information Science and Technology, for its current chair, Dr. Bharti Gaurav, Assistant Professor, School of Library and Information Science, Central
A very good morning to all dignitaries, guests, and presenters. I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all present here for the Research Symposium 2020 organized by the National Institute of Library and Information Sciences, University of Colombo. The theme of this symposium is marked as Challenges and Opportunities for Libraries in the New Normal. It is our norm to start the event with National Anthem. So I kindly request you to rise to the National Anthem. Thank you, and very sorry for the inconvenience caused. Now, may I invite Dr. Ruwan Gamage, the Symposium Co-Chair and the Acting Director of National Institute of Library and Information Sciences, University of Colombo, to formally welcome you.
Thank you. Our distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. Bhuva Narayan, Associate Professor in Digital Social Media, School of Communication of University of Technology, Sydney, Australia. Our chief guest, Senior Professor Chandrika Vijayaratna, Vice Chancellor, University of Colombo, the Rector, Deans, Directors, the Librarian, the Registrar, and the Bursar of University of Colombo, members of the NILIS Board of Management and the Academic Committee, co-chair of the symposium, Dr. Bhakti Gala, Assistant Professor, School of Library and Information Science, Central University of Gujarat, India, heads and representatives of APIC's library organizations in the country and overseas, including the South Asia chapter of the Association for Information Science and Technology, or ASSIST, who are partners in organizing this event. Membership and officers of the Sri Lanka Library Association and the University Librarians Association of Sri Lanka. Distinguished librarians, students, and staff, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organizing committee of the NILIS Research Symposium 2020, let me welcome all of you to the annual symposium of the National Institute of Library and Information Sciences, University of Colombo. Thank you for joining this virtual event. During the past 10 months, we faced a situation that is not normal according to the standards of the yesteryear. But within a period of few months' time, we have reinvented a new normal, which has become a new standard for living. Whether or not the new normal will stay, we all agree that the way we work has changed. From the surveys done and the feedback received, we know that a majority has accepted the new normal in a positive way. How to continue, or what is the way forward, was the question in hand. That is why we wanted to review how we did during the past few months in terms of providing library services, doing research in library and information sciences. I hope that this symposium will pave the way for such to take library services forward with evidence-based practice. I would like to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished invitees, session chairs, presenters, and the participants of the symposium. Despite being a Saturday after a busy week, especially Madam Vice Chancellor and the university community after an extremely tight period of centenary celebrations, for being with us on this special day for NILIS and librarianship. Although my objective is to welcome the audience, I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Bhuva Narayan for accepting our invitation to deliver the keynote speech. We are glad to hear how our Australian counterparts operated during the pandemic and also the lessons learned. I should also be thankful to Madam Vice Chancellor for her continued support and her shared positive vision on librarianship. Your encouragement was a strength, and especially when NILIS prepared the exit strategy from COVID-19 for libraries in April last year. You helped us take it to the relevant authorities. Madam, I'm happy to say that it was used by many institutions within the country, and it has been discussed at various national and international fora. The University of Colombo celebrated 100 years of existence this year. NILIS also has existed 1/5 of that time, affiliated with the university. In addition to doing research and training in library science and information science, NILIS has a great potential to provide a missing element to the country's education system in primary, secondary, and tertiary education. That link is called information literature. Madam Vice Chancellor, we hope to further enhance this bond of NILIS with other faculties of the system and become a premier library and information education institution, or perhaps to establish its mark as a prominent high school in the region. With this note, I again extend my gratitude to all of you by saying a big thank you. Stay safe and enjoy the proceedings. And also, we just got just a notice, actually, the Madam Vice Chancellor, who is our chief guest in the event, has informed us that she's still unable to connect to the meeting due to a connection issue. But anyway, she will try to join with us at any moment. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you, Dr. Ruwan Gamage, for your inspirational welcome note. Once again, I welcome ladies and gentlemen on this special occasion. We are honored to have Dr. Bhuva Narayan, Assistant Professor, School of Communication, University of Technology, Sydney, as our keynote speaker today. Her talk will be on the theme of this symposium, which is Challenges and Opportunities for Libraries in the New Normal. So without further ado, may I invite Dr. Shirandi Vijayasundara to introduce Dr. Bhuva Narayan.
Thank you, Mr. Ramana. Good morning to you all. And I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to Professor Bhuva Narayan, the keynote speaker of the NILIS Research Symposium 2020. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and joining with us today, despite your busy schedule. So let me take this opportunity to introduce Professor Narayan to you. As you may already know, Professor Narayan is an associate professor attached to the University of Technology, Sydney, Australia. Currently, Dr. Narayan is serving as the director of the PhD program at the School of Communication at the University of Technology, Sydney. Previously, she was the program coordinator for the school's Information and Knowledge Management program for over 6 years. Dr. Narayan came to library science via the book industry in India and then the editing and publishing industry in the USA. She completed the Master of Library and Information Science from the iSchool at the University of Pittsburgh and a diploma in publishing from Harvard University before moving to Australia, where she earned a PhD in Information Science. Dr. Narayan is the chair of the Research Advisory Committee for the Australian Library Information Association and an associate editor at the Journal of the Australian Library and Information Association. So without any delay, I would like to cordially invite Professor Bhuva Narayan to deliver her interesting speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chiranti. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Dr. Ruwan Gamagay and Chiranti Vijayasundara. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you to NILIS for organizing this conference. It looks like a very, very interesting program. Before I start my keynote, can I share my screen? Yeah, I think I can.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's not. Not sure why it does not share. Sorry.
Now it's shared, yeah. I think.
Yes.
It's coming and going.
Okay. Let's see whether you can see it now. Can you see my screen now? Okay.
Yeah,
wonderful. Thank you. I think there won't be any more problems. So you can, yeah. I guess you introduced the theme of the conference. Thank you so much. And I'm basically going to talk about Australian libraries and what we have been doing. It is sort of related to worldwide, and it's not too much different. You've already introduced me. Thank you very much. I still coordinate the PhD program where we have about 200 PhD students in communication, of which about 20 students are in library information science, and we still do take students in that area. Although we do not have any more courses in library information science, because in Australia, many of the universities have sort of shut down their library courses in favor of other courses. To start my talk, I just want to start with, I do not like the word new normal. I'd like to say that out front. It's not normal, we understand, but is this the new normal? Do we want this to be the new normal? I really hope not. I still like to believe we are still in disaster control mode. And, you know, the situation in disaster control is not the same as a natural disaster in the sense that we have prepared for them. Obviously, we didn't prepare for this. Our buildings and collections are not at risk in the same way as a natural disaster. It is not short term. There has been no disaster recovery plan for such a pandemic. So, but I have heard university management and organizations and other people, whenever someone, or even if it's a student or staff or academic, is complaining about certain things, services missing, you know, we are told, oh, we're all in the same boat, get used to it. But the problem is we are not all in the same boat. Some are in luxury boats, they have laptops, Wi-Fi, they can access information. And some, including students and the public, are in a small, leaky, dingy boat. They are, you know, on the other side of the digital divide. And they can't access the things that we say we will provide, despite library closures. So I would definitely like to have that in the foreground to say that whatever we do, it is not reaching everybody that we need to reach. But you know, even though we are not all in the same boat, we are all in the same storm, and the storm is hitting very badly. And it's still going on in most countries, and even when it subsides, it comes back. So just keep that in the foreground. I'll just give you a very quick overview of, you know, the number of libraries in Australia and so on. So these are the numbers and so on of public libraries in Australia. You can easily get that from going into the Australian Library Information Association's website. We have about 1,631 public libraries. We have about 199 university libraries within Australian universities. Even though we have 43 universities, some universities have separate libraries for separate campuses and separate departments to serve them. And the school libraries, of course, all schools have libraries. We also have a vocational institution, education institution that we have about 59 of them, and they have about 250 libraries. We have special libraries in companies and also government libraries, which is about 2,100 libraries. So there are quite a lot of libraries. And apart from that, we have the collecting institutions in Australia. This is not including the museums, but like the National Library of Australia, we have 8 state libraries with collections that are open to the public. Not all of them can be borrowed. They can be reviewed in the library, you know, as any state and national library. And the National Library also has a wonderful database of all of the collections, Australian collections, to identify where they are, you know, how to access them and things like that, including all digitized newspapers, pictures, journals, including pictures and documents from the past pandemics in history. So that has been actually very useful in planning for current, you know, government policies and things like that. And the other stakeholders in this space in library information science in Australia are the, of course, Australian Library Information Association, School Library Association. We have Records and Information Management Professionals Association. We have the Society of Archivists. So most of these work together with all of these institutions and including the library schools. They accredit the library schools. So I'll just quickly round up some of the initiatives at our state libraries. Our State Library of New South Wales, which is in the city that I am in at the moment, Sydney, they started a initiative called Diary Files. They just put out a very simple text-based interface online and invited members of the public to write stories about their daily life, about the pandemic, short stories. Some people have written poems. Some people have just written like a narrative about their experience. It can be as short as they want or longer. And these are then collected and also displayed in that page as the ongoing experience of the people in the state. And then the library also asked people to upload their own images about self-isolation, their experiences in their neighborhoods and homes. And, you know, this is all voluntary. Of course, some people love to be part of this initiative. And apart from that, the library collected posters, artifacts of COVID-19, etc., for future documentation, for future historians. And then they have continuously had various digital exhibitions that are accessible online of past pandemics, more like portals and permanent exhibitions of the past pandemics, documentation, comparisons, government initiatives, photos, and what we can learn from them for current situation on how we control or how we deal with the current situation. And many public libraries have been doing amazing initiatives in various different states and cities. In Melbourne, for example, they actually called senior citizens over 70. They called each and every one of them one by one and asked them how they are, what they're doing, do they need any help, any kind of information to connect them to any services. And they actually did this with multilingual library staff everywhere because Australia is a very highly multicultural country with many, many languages. So that was one initiative. And then they offered once the there were different stages of lockdown in different states. Some states had like a intense 1 month lockdown, and then they sort of opened up with certain small restrictions. And in those cases, the library opened up, but people couldn't come in, but they were doing click and collect just by appointment. You could ask for what you wanted and come collect it. And some libraries were doing door-to-door delivery of library requests. And one of the main things that came out of this for public libraries is many of the public libraries, almost all of the public libraries in Australia do online story time for children. Or rather, they have not always done online story time for children. They used to do story time for children in the library space. But now they quickly went online, and the children's librarians and the storytellers and even sometimes the authors came to read the books, and they went online. So the online story time for children has been a huge success. And now you can not only access the online story time from your local neighborhood, but also from other neighborhoods in your state or city, which also increased the participation in the online story time for children, especially since many children were stuck at home with their parents and not able to go out. But one sort of more interesting things for libraries that came out of just putting something online is that there was an issue with the copyright because of that, because, borrowing a book and reading it aloud publicly in a small space is different from doing an online story time, reading the whole book like it's a children's book online. To have a permanent record of it it was a copyright violation by the library. And therefore, the Australian Library Association and the Copyright Association and a couple of other stakeholders in Australia related to these kind of copyright permissions came together and said, we have to make some sort of concessions for this sort of online story time. So they sort of gave blanket forgiveness for copyright for all libraries to be able to do online story time for children, library by library, and anyone can access it for free without any sort of permissions, passwords, and so on. And also many public libraries distemporary membership, because normally you have to go to the library, show all sorts of documentation to get your membership. But during the last 1 year, they've just stopped that. They said, we can give you temporary memberships online. Just apply online. We will give you temporary membership later on when we open up. You can come and show proof of everything. That was mainly done so people could access all the e-resources and e-books. And then they created more awareness for the e-books. A lot of the members of these are services libraries have always offered, but people were not aware of it because they thought of library as a space and a place and a physical, tangible thing. Not all the members of the public were aware that there is, let's say, audiobooks and videos available through library streaming services and ebooks and things like that. So that awareness was much more. It's not that we increased any of our collections. The collections was the same, but the awareness and usage of those increased. If the awareness had been there before, the use might have been, more before also. And in the National Library of Australia, they are collecting and archiving nationally. They do web archiving of anything and everything to do with Australia. Pages created in Australia, pages relevant to Australia that are later, for the sort of not the Internet Archive, which is done in the US, but this is done locally in Australia. So we hold it forever in our collections for future historians. And also collecting and archiving COVID-related artifacts for future historians. These are just some of the ones that I'm sort of highlighting. And then I'll just do a quick roundup of the academic library initiatives. So for the purposes of this talk, I have, in the last couple of weeks, I talked to about 6 different librarians from 6 different universities in Sydney. And I'm just going to give you what they've been doing. Unlike public libraries, not all academic libraries are open to the public. Some of them are, but during COVID times, they were closed to the public and only students with the cards and staff members could access it. So this is my library at my university. We just have a new building, which was inaugurated on January 30th, just 6 weeks before we closed down again. So that was a bit sad. And what we did was we took about 50,000 books from the old library, put it underground storage. It's a 7-story underground building below the green space next to the library. We call it the Alumni Green. So we are an inner city campus with no campus, but there are 26 buildings strewn across 6 blocks in the inner city near the central station. So we don't have a walled campus to call a campus, but we still have over 45,000 students at any given time. So we made space. We made the space in the library so people could come in and enjoy the library and put everything. And now immediately we had to shut down. So hello. There's some disturbance. Can you hear me still? Yeah. And this is the library system underneath. I mean, we can still retrieve books and have it sent to us, but in terms of physical constraints, the library closed, the study rooms were not available to book by students or anyone else. We didn't have any more one-on-one consultations in the physical space. But we did open up a special floor for research students because they complained about not having access to their desk and computers, and many of them were completing their thesis, so we could not deny them. So of the 26 to 28 buildings, we opened 3 buildings, and in the library building, one whole floor was opened up, and I think I'm getting some notifications. Anyway, one floor opened up for research students, that is PhD students, with social distancing and everything. That was one adjustment we did. And then the printing was changed at the university because you could normally only print to the, your office computer or on your area. But what we did was I can now print to any computer on campus, thousands of computers, doesn't matter. I just print, it stays in the cloud. And then I go to any printer I have access to and I touch my staff card and it prints out my print queue at the printer that I'm in. So that was another innovation. This was already happening actually before the pandemic, but because of the pandemic, it became really more used and useful because there was no other choice. So that was something, some sort of, hello, okay. And in terms of collections, our ebook requests increased, but there were some challenges that are important to note. So for example, everybody started asking, including me, like for example, an academic, I can demand any ebook that the library has to buy for me. But if I demand an ebook and the university buys it, the institutional license is $1,000. But if only 1 or 2 people use it, it's not worth it. Whereas if a student or an individual buys the ebook, it's only $60. So that has become an issue with, is everyone still able to hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure. So that's kind of awareness now we are realizing as researchers and faculty staff to say we need to be thinking more about open access publications, increased awareness of the open access initiatives to avoid this kind of payment, like for example, just for one ebook that one student needs for their research and not all of the students or general staff are going to use it. And then we, of course, made indefinite loan periods, forgiveness of all late fees. And of course, the training went completely online. But we found the positive of that was that there was more attendance in online training. Because as with academics and students, and we are an inner city campus, we don't like to go in, commute into campus every day if we don't have to. Even in normal times, we only come in when we have a meeting or have to teach. So, but now I join more research training online. I join more events online because it's possible. So that has increased attendance overall in library training and information literacy training. And also for the library, there is more opportunity to share the training across branches. Previously, every branch had to do a training session, let's say for EndNote or something else. Now you do one training session at whatever branch and then invite people from all the branches to attend online. So that has been a positive. And there were also more opportunities because of that to create more learning modules using librarians' time for future use and so on. And then we did increase and expand our Ask Our Librarian service, which was basically an online virtual librarian service. But we also put a face to that to say, you know, when you're dialing into, whether it's by phone call or online, if you're asking a librarian, these are the librarians. These are the faces of the librarians that are answering your call. So giving them a human sort of touch, all of that was done. And then the time was used also to develop and curate the website and focus more on the library website, because that is the only point of referral for students and staff to see what training, what help I need, and things like that. So, and also it was necessary to fix up all the metadata to reflect reality, not just on the library website, but on the database also, to say what is in the storage, what can be ordered, what cannot be ordered because we don't have access to it during COVID. For example, some of the interlibrary loan system we had between various Australian universities was suspended for some time because of COVID. So we needed to also continually update the metadata to reflect that reality, or else students and staff might think it's available and be very unhappy when we say it's not available. And then many different universities got together and put in their own links to automated PubMed searches for COVID-19 related literature searches, which was available to, GPs, practitioners, medical professionals, general public, to give them evidence-based information, especially in our world of misinformation and disinformation and so on. And the alia.org.au, the website, gives you a link to that. It's done by the Health Libraries Australia, and they had all the live literature searches that would live update the latest available literature on COVID-19 related research and things like that. So that was another innovation that was visible. I mean, innovations are always happening in all of the libraries, but now the public is more aware of these kind of services, outward-facing services, while also doing inward-facing collections for the future and things like that. In terms of staff, library staff, it's the same as any other place. Zoom fatigue was common. Managing work from home was difficult. Some libraries did a daily check-in of their staff every morning, whether they came to the library or work from home, they had to tell us where they were. Staff cuts were inevitable. It was a lot of discussion, heartache, but it had to be done in some places. They tried to retrain some staff for new kind of working, and then also retain some of them, the most flexible and high contributing staff. As Dr. Hu says, none of the choices are good, but some choices need to be made. And so we had to make some choices. Not me personally, I don't work in the library. I'm a library academic and library educator. What I'm giving you today is the information that I collected from the librarians that I have trained and educated and graduated from my program, and now they work in different libraries across Australia and the world. So this is just a small taste of what's going on in Australian libraries. Thank you so much. I don't know if we have time for questions. Thank you. I will stop sharing my screen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bhuva Narayan, for sharing your invaluable experience of library services during pandemic lockdown. These information are great takeaways to everyone, and I strongly believe that you have created a perfect platform for our technical sessions ahead. And also, I would like to warmly welcome the Registrar of the University of Colombo to the event. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalpana. As you know, by looking at the agenda, we have two technical sessions. Each has their own rooms, A, B, and C. So the participants can log into the rooms which they prefer to. At the same time, presenters are advised to go to their respective rooms to present. So we will start the first session, session A, 1, session B1, session C1 parallelly. So you are advised to go to your respective and desired rooms. Meanwhile, we would like the presenters and participants to switch on your webcam for a while to take official photographs for the record. And we have an announcement. We would like to give away Best Presenter Award at the end of the event. So beware that as well. And we have the plenary session scheduled at 12 noon today. So please be present after the technical sessions are over. Thank you. Please bear with us to start our technical sessions.
Can all of you please switch on the videos to take the official photograph of the event?
Is everyone able to switch on their webcam and take the snapshot or the photograph?
So until that time, until the photograph is taken, I will just describe the sessions we have. We have 6 sessions altogether presenting 54 papers. And the first session is on librarianship, that is in 1A, the session 1A is on librarianship. And session 2 discusses about the session 1B, of course. It discusses about the information sources and services. And session 1C, these are 3 parallel sessions running at the same time. So the participants have the liberty to join a session of their choice. So session 1C is COVID-19 and learning. Session 2 starts at 11 o'clock. Session 2A is on information literacy. Session 2B is IT applications and new trends. Session 2C, effect of COVID-19 pandemic on libraries. So these are the 6 sessions, and there will be a huge lineup of 54 papers altogether. Are we ready with the photograph? The details of the program is available at the NILIS website, that is nilis.cmb.ac.lk. And this is live streamed on YouTube. That link is also given in the NILIS website. Okay, have we completed? Okay, right. Thank you.